Hey everybody, thanks for joining us. I am Joe Dunbar. I work with the Starin technical team. It is Thursday, March 16th here. Beautiful sunny day where I am. Hopefully it is where you are as well. Today, we're going to be joined by our Barco team. We've got Matt Wirsig on the horn. We're going to be talking about some things related to Clickshare, the Barco Partner Program, and all things Barco related. So hopefully everybody's got some questions ready to dive into some content. Matt, I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself a little bit, and then we'll dive into some questions here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Joe. And I really appreciate the team's attendance here on the session. Matt Wirsig, I am based out of the West Coast of the U.S. My job really from a Barco perspective is to focus specifically on our Clickshare product line. So I work with integration companies pretty much Rocky Mountains west in that region. And so my job is to make sure that people understand, first and foremost, where the product is at, what we're really excited about, where it's a great fit, how people can make money on it. But also more importantly, in my opinion, is ensuring that people that serve any sort of design function in the company or installation function know how to design the product in, because it isn't just a little island box anymore, like the older Clickshares, and we'll talk about that in more detail, but how it fits into a lot of these hybrid flex conferencing meeting room scenarios that we're all kind of getting used to now moving forward. And there's a lot of other piece parts that integrators will build around what is, a Clickshare model in different types of conference rooms, right? So as long as they understand how it's a fit and how to install it, the end goal, if I'm doing my job properly, is that any integration company in my territory can go out, they can install cleanly, the client's happy, their brand looks good, ergo our brand and the Starin brand looks great, and hopefully we all want to work more together, right? So that's kind of my job function. And I will do just a brief introduction on Michael Carter's behalf. He is my senior sales engineer, helping me cover the West Coast. And we've got a team of folks like Michael that are kind of spread geographically across the country. He is kind of my go-to for anything that I'm not able to address from a technical design, post-sales question type perspective. Just again, same goal being things going cleanly, people are happy, and the end user is stoked about the technology they have in their variety of meeting spaces.
I really appreciate that, guys. That's, it's obviously really important. I think one of the things that gets overlooked so often when we look at how can piece A go with piece B is really like, how can we, put this system out and dispatch a functioning system with a smooth deployment, right? So that's really important. I'm glad you touched on that right away.
Yeah, solve problems with solutions, not systems, right? That's really what we're trying to accomplish.
I love it. I'll let everyone know, hey, if you've got questions, please put them in the Q&A section along the way. Certainly any chat that you have, any chatter that people want to throw around, we encourage that to go into the chat windows. Any formal questions you want to ask and get brought up to the team here, please put those in the Q&A. This is a great chance to get access right directly to the horse's mouth, so to speak. So please bring that stuff along. I'll jump right in if everyone's ready. I think the first thing we want to look at, right, is like what is important for us as integrators, and I say us, kind of on behalf of the integrators, to understand about the partner program and the benefits of that with Barco.
Sure. Yeah. And is everybody seeing my screen share? I just want to confirm you're seeing a full slide.
Yep, we got you there.
Awesome. Okay, great. So, Barco has gone through a variety of different changes, at least specific to Clickshare, on how we're handling our partners. I alluded to in the intro section of this that we had an older product. A lot of people were familiar with it, maybe still are familiar with it. We still get a lot of people asking for our old product. Things have changed. We've got a bunch of great new products that still offer the same simplicity. But on the front end, complexity isn't the right term, but there's more intricacies that warrant us making sure that we're really equipping our partners with the knowledge they need to go out and be successful, right? So our current partner program has a couple different components to it. So we have a modern day replacement to our legacy, CS and CSE products. It's the C5 and C10, and I will dive into that in a little more detail as we move along the conversation. But those are the modern day replacement for just simple wireless sharing, right? You have a display in the room, you want a clean way to put a laptop or device down and wirelessly share in room. So we've got what we call open channel, which means there's very little complexity with a product like that. It's a black box, it's powered, HDMI to a display, use our button or our software app to connect and share to it. Very little requirement, just because the purpose of that box is quite simple, right? It's a very simple task. So we want to make it easy for anybody that isn't in the conferencing collaboration space, but might mount displays and want to offer dynamic huddle space type capability for simple sharing. We want to make the point of entry into that type of an application super, super simple. So we do have an open channel model there for folks. For the other products that for the most part, we'll spend the majority of the time talking about today, which is our CX line. And again, we'll dive into that in a little more detail. We've got a couple different partner tiers, and really, when we structured the partner program, we wanted to find a way to make the point of entry into the collaboration and conferencing part of our product line easy with the bronze level, but then offer benefits and incentives, right? And what we find is if people really get the value, if I'm doing my job properly of what we're offering, they rapidly advance through this kind of left to right arrow that we have going from bronze all the way up to gold. But there are different partner tiers that you're able to onboard into, right? So if somebody was just to hit our website, and if you Google, Barco Clickshare partners, it will take you to a link that will allow you to fill out a web app saying that you want to be a partner, some basic information that will get sent to our channel operations team. And then, we will, in essence, approve you into the bronze program. People can also apply directly into, if they think it makes sense, based on their excitement level, into the silver program. So when you start looking at the kind of the simple requirements, and in my opinion, they are pretty simple. You have access to all the products, obviously, that's kind of across the board. Bronze doesn't have deal reg capability, right? We want to save deal registration for partners that really want to go out and proactively tout the value of Clickshare to their end users. So that's a difference. And the commitments are pretty straightforward. There's a quick start installation training. It's free of charge. We can publish to the team on this call afterwards links to go get access to that, as well as the partner onboarding URL. And then a demo gear purchase. And so partners are able to purchase at not for resale discounts. In essence, it's 50% off, whatever Clickshare model they believe makes sense based on the types of projects they want to go out and attack. So when you migrate from bronze to silver, you get an additional 5% on top of your normal partner discount, which is great. So an additional 5 points of margin to play around with. But then we do have some training requirements. So we want to make sure that from a sales perspective, there are a couple people that know how to go out and articulate the value independently of us being involved, as well as a technical specialist. And typically those folks are design engineers and or potentially also an install tech to make sure that product is going in cleanly in those environments. And by making that commitment to the training, which again is free, some of that training comes AVIXA certified with CTS credits. You get the benefit of the additional registration discount. Really moving from silver to gold is kind of just selling the product. And if we're doing everything right here and people are excited, sales volumes will go up. And once you hit certain procurement thresholds, you're able to now bump up from not just a 5%, but potentially a 5 to 10% deal reg discount, so more expanded margin. We do have a slightly higher requirement for sales and technical folks to get trained. But then we also are able to unlock more in regards to access to MDF and some other great programs we have. So if we want to sponsor events and do all that type of stuff, us coming out on site to assist with demos or to go out and help with designs, et cetera, it's a lot of great benefits. So we've tried to orchestrate this to be an organic migration through this life cycle from a partnership perspective. Hopefully
I really appreciate that.
And I'm happy to answer any questions around that if I need to clarify.
Yeah, definitely. I will certainly interject them as they come in and where they fit. I did forget to mention at the start, we are doing a gift card giveaway at the end, a $50 gift card giveaway at the end. So folks definitely stick around for that. Matt, I think that's a great answer to the question. I really, again, touching right away on like successful deployments, I think it's easy for integrators to look at something like this and say, oh, well, these are barriers to entry, right? We got to jump through a hoop or something like that. But that's not really the case. These are positioned, these points and these steps are positioned to put the integrator in a good position to be able to say, okay, we understand the product, we understand how to install it, we understand how to sell it, we understand how to service it, so we can go out and be successful in installation. So I appreciate you touching on that.
Yeah, and one thing to add, if you don't mind, is folks that are familiar with our older products, and I have heard this on occasion. The perception is that we're doing this and like we're intentionally trying to make access to the product harder. That's really not the case. The old products were very rarely network connected. They didn't have peripherals, USB audio video devices connected to them. They weren't 4K capable. They didn't have the benefit of some of our great cloud management software. They were just in essence a black box, like an Apple TV that you could kind of self-install. And that was it, right? So while the end user experience, once installed properly, is still just as easy and fantastic, it's the concept of kind of slowing down just a touch in order to speed up. A lot of times we have people that have a deal on the hook and they're in a crunch for project install. I worked integration, so I understand compressed install timelines very well. We are more than happy to be flexible as long as it makes good business sense, while we're still also driving the overall themes of this program, which is equipping people to go out and know what they're doing so we all look great, right? So I'll just kind of leave that topic on that final point.
Yeah, great point. And especially, I appreciate you mentioning that these aren't gates and hoops to jump through. And at the end of the day, you guys are willing to do what makes good sense for everyone involved. So definitely a great way to stamp that. Are there any like special programs or promotions that we should be aware of at the moment?
Yeah, so there are a couple that I am really excited about. The one that I wanted to start with is our trade-in. You could call it tech refresh, put whatever label on it you want. But the general theme of this package or program is anything that is legacy, end of life, Clickshare. So the CS and the CSE models, those are all end of life. We're not shipping those anymore. We'll still support them, if clients want to utilize, moving forward, but we're not developing on that technology anymore. It's an old tech stack. The old stuff had old buttons, an old USB form factor, barely supported 1080p, definitely didn't support full motion video sharing, didn't integrate into conferencing, right? So it behooves us to provide less barriers to entry into our newer product lines. And so what we want to offer is an excuse and an additional discount against net new product purchase for trade-in of legacy Clickshare products. So if you look here on the left-hand side, we've got the C5 all the way up to the newer CX50. We offer additional trade-in discounts on top of all the normal margin that partners at their different tiers would make to make that transition easier for the end user, with the assumption that the partner would share some of that through to the end user. But that doesn't just end with Barco product. It also ends with competitive products. So if people want to swap out a Crestron unit or immersive unit, et cetera, we will take that stuff back as well and offer the same amount of additional trade-in discount depending on the model that client wants to migrate to, right? So you're ranging anywhere from an additional $270 off all the way up to 600. So anybody that is working for an integrator, and I've had a lot of great success in my patch, run reports if you can on where old legacy Clickshare have been sold, or maybe where a competitive product is in, client's not really happy. Let's try to gather all that data. And I've had a lot of partners say, wow, we didn't realize, but Matt, there's 100, 200 conference rooms that we can do a tech refresh for across all of our client base. Maybe it's thousands, depending on the scale and scope of that integrator, and how they're driving their business either regionally or nationally, right?
Right.
And that's not just an excuse to put a new black box in there. I think the thing that is exciting for me is a conversation around our newer black box, which could range anywhere from $1,500 to $2,200, right? Big whoop. It's not that much money on the nose by itself, but that conversation around that box could drive a refresh display and cabling for that display, and could drive camera integration and audio amplified sound system, maybe a control system with that client, right? So now a $2,000 Barco box could be a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 room by itself. And then you multiply that out. So we can be a force multiplier for all the different rooms all of our partners are servicing for their end users, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think, that opens the door, and it's important to say, like, this is value that our integration customers are bringing to their end user customers by saying, hey, and often there's, whether it's private sector, public sector, there's money budgeted for these types of solutions, especially in the post-COVID era here, to get this kind of work done. And, we want to make sure it's going to good use and that they're taking advantage of those funds within their department. So this is a great way to do that and prompt them for it.
Yeah, I actually, it's funny. We're talking about this topic. I had a great call with a partner the other day, and I said, "Hey, so how's the tech refresh effort going? The trade-in program effort going?" And they said, "Well, we've had a lot of great success with about 50% of the list that we pulled, for the benefit of Clickshare and Barco and all of us collectively." They said, there was like another 50% where we'll see where it goes. But Matt, it gave our sales rep an opportunity to walk in the door using this as the excuse, but then offer maybe update all the other services and great products those integration companies have on their line card. So I'm happy to drive net new Clickshare business, but I'm also happy to show value and use my product line as an excuse for people to maybe not necessarily sell more Clickshare, but use my product as an excuse to go in and talk about maybe a managed service play that a partner has now that they didn't when they initially installed a room, right? So I think there's a lot of value to be had all around, all to say.
Yeah, just starting the conversation. One question we got in that I think is a really good one. Is this trade-in promotion stackable with a deal registration, or how does that work?
So as far as trade-in, it is not stackable with deal reg. So it would be on top of the normal partner discount. And Melanie, you can check my math on that, or anybody else, but I believe that's the case.
Yeah, good.
That is the case. It is. Yes, the rebates are pretty significant and far outweigh a registration discount.
Awesome. We appreciate the clarity on that. That's a great question. I would have been surprised that would be the case, but we definitely want to make sure we answer that again, let everybody get a solid and good deployment out there so they know what they're selling. So,
and it would behoove me to also mention along those lines that we are very well inventoried. That should have been my first slide in this presentation. We are very well inventoried, folks, across all of these products. Okay. And one of the reasons why we've restructured our partner program this way and why we're approaching programs and wanting to be closer to integrators is because if we have a better finger on the pulse of business, where things are going, what our forecast looks like, it allows us to have better build plans. And we are quite unique right now in the marketplace with having a bunch of product on the shelf ready to roll. So if people want to go out and execute on projects, but then the benefit is by us being closer to partners, we're not wanting to be pesky, but we can be an augmentation to an enabler of the sales team, the design teams, and make sure that people, really see the value in anything. So there are some side benefits along the line with all this stuff.
Yeah, man. And I mean, at the end of the day, right, you can't sell it if you don't have it, or you can and promise to go down the line, but we need to be able to invoice this stuff out at the end of the day and make some money on it. So I know
what sales rep wants to close a project and then have to wait 52 weeks to install it. Probably not.
Right. Absolutely. And I know we're pretty healthily stocked too. And we, these are products that come in and go out frequently for us. So we try to stay on top of that sort of stuff. And, speaking a little more about successful deployments and things like that, as a member of a design team and somebody who likes to, whose job is to get people up and going and make sure that they're in a position to be successful with an installation, what types of, like resources are available to folks like me and our integration partners across the way to make sure that they can market and educate their teams on these solutions?
Sure. Yeah. So the next topic I wanted to cover kind of straddles a little bit of the back end of the previous question, but then also is very much so a part of resources and benefits, right? The Red Button program is something that we want to offer to partners that really want to wrap their arms around the Clickshare product line and be experts, right? So if we can create extensions of our sales and engineering force out in the field, that gives us a better scale for going out and driving net new business. So we've got a Red Button program that in essence is free training for identified sales reps at different integration companies that are able to go out and talk to the value and benefits of Clickshare, just like I would, or Michael would, or Melanie or Angela would, right? If we were in front of a client. And if they're able to go through, and it's online free training, it's about an hour and a half to 2 hours. Do a quick presentation to us to prove to us how to deliver the salient points on the product line. We will award that person with a Red Button, and any partner that has a Red Button sales rep will by default get leads in that territory, right? So that is something that is I guess, enabling resource as far as the inflow of leads for that partner, which I think is pretty great. So anybody that's interested in becoming a Red Button partner, reach out to me through, you folks on the Starin side, reach out to us directly, what have you. But I'm more than happy to talk about that program in more detail. And this is meant to set you apart from another partner that maybe just knows how to design it in, but isn't really fully committed. And the benefit, again, being more resource from us as a company, more leads, all that good stuff, which I think is great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yes. And the Red Button is kind of cool. I mean, the normal button's kind of matte black and it's a metallic red. So definitely something, it's a talking piece when you're meeting with the client to say, yeah, we're Red Button certified here at XYZ Integrator, right? The other thing that I think is really cool is this click to sync program and service that we have created. And so we've got a wonderful marketing team that is constantly cranking out different types of content, depending on what the application is, whether that be one-page type documents, social media post type stuff, website content, images, you name it. Partners that want to have an easy way to port Barco marketing information into their websites. And not all partners do that. That's fine. Some people want to drive traffic to their website. Others are more word of mouth. So I'm not saying everybody has to leverage click to sync, but for those that see the value in driving traffic to and marketing from their websites, we've got a great way to, in essence, syndicate content to their web pages. So when we update something, if they've leveraged that syndication, it automatically gets updated, right? So if we add a new feature to a product, we update on our side, they've syndicated from us, we're able to update the content on their website, kind of auto process, if that makes sense. Angela, I don't know if you're able to come off mute. Did I miss anything there that you wanted to add on the topic?
No, I think you covered pretty much all of it. It's just a simple plug and play. So it's very simple. You sign up through the ChinX website. And I was hoping to be able to upload some documents here for you guys to take home as a reference, but unfortunately I'm unable to. So we'll send those out after the event to give you the link if you're interested. And like I said, you just sign up and it's a very simple process. You choose what you want to display.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, this all really comes back to an investment in each other, right? So when people talk about we want partners and things like that, when integration companies show us that they're interested, and then here's all the right tools, right, to become successful with these solutions, and we want to make sure that you know them inside and out, so that we can help you be successful in your deployments with these. And then there's back-end investments in this between the partner programs and the marketing tools. I mean, a lot of integration companies, marketing is really important these days. But who's got all the resources to do all the things? Here's some great content available directly from the partner that you can utilize. Like, that's fantastic.
And so on top of that, just a couple other quick broad brush strokes. Anybody that is interested in having better access to a number of resources from Barco, go to barco.com. If you go to barco.com, in the top corner here, you will be able to register for a My Barco account. Once you register for a My Barco account, you will have access to a whole host of support tools on your dashboard, sales tools, so product presentations, co-brandable one-pagers, a bunch of great content in the marketing download center on top of the Click to Sync program and some of the other things that we've been talking about. So that's a great resource. I also really like our updated training area. So once you're inside of My Barco, there is a training area where you can come and specify if you're a salesperson or a technical person, what sort of training you're interested in. And we've got all these great free, some of them Avixa certified for CTS credits type classes that people can take on demand, which I think is pretty fantastic. And then we also have the resource of peripherals. I've talked about us having a conferencing play now, and we'll get into more detail on that here shortly as the conversation progresses. But when people want to integrate our tools into a conferencing room environment, it's oftentimes important to know what that partner wants to specify in that scenario. Or maybe the client already has something pre-existing and we need to determine if we can work with that product, right? So a great place to come and kind of identify, in the case of Jabra, what Jabra products? It might be a big Jabra integrator. What products do we work with? We've tested and validated firmware of theirs against our firmware. Are there any special notes? So when partners are putting designs together, they can have a better level of confidence on their design and know that it will work. And if there's still any questions, that's always when you can roll back to me or Michael, my sales engineer for the region, to kind of talk through different design scenarios. So I think that kind of rounds out at least kind of the key resources that are really designed to help people get off the ground quickly and be better educated as fast as possible.
Absolutely. And I tell you, a lot of the questions that I end up dealing with are a lot of, does this work with that? So this is a great place to do that. One of the questions that came in is just really asking, like, is this the My Barco training area? Is that new? Have you guys had that? Has it gotten revamped? Is it, I'm sure it's current and up to date. But it seems that some folks still don't know about that.
So My Barco has been around for quite some time, but we have, as of late, added a bunch of new content, and we have a beefed up training department now that is going to be cranking out even more content on a much more frequent basis. So we had it, not that it was underutilized, but it wasn't refreshed as much as we would have liked. The company has doubled down and hired a lot of staff, not only on the support side, the sales engineering side, but also the training and education side. So we can crank out on-demand, digestible content that fits quite well in our ADD society, right? We're all on the run. Being able to watch a quick video or go through a training in a compressed period, shorter modules. So it's much better than it was a couple of years ago when we first rolled it out, and it's only going to continue getting better.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, being able to take this content in and study it and get informed on our schedule is a really important thing this day and age. So I'm glad you touched on that.
Yep.
Let's shift a little bit. I want to talk a little bit more about the products. Yeah, right. Exactly. What's new, right? What product? What do you have for enhancements, general availability, and things like that? Like, what's new that we should really be aware of and hip to right now?
Sure. So what I will do is touch on this a little bit as a good segue into answering that question directly, if that's okay. So I had mentioned that the old products are gone. We've talked about tech refresh. We'll still support these, right? But let's get people out of the old into the new. And the new is Clickshare Present for simple wireless sharing. Clickshare Conference being our product line that is not just wireless sharing, but also wireless conferencing. So if you think of how long we've all heard BYOD, bring your own device, it's with Clickshare Conference, it's not bring your own device, it's also bring your own meeting platform provider of choice on your device of choice, right? So for people that want flexibility in install very nice USB audio video peripherals in the room, allow that room to dynamically and flexibly address Teams, Zoom, GoToMeeting, WebEx, BlueJeans, you name it, right? A flexible conferencing space that allows people to use what they prefer, but still leverage the in-room tech, right? Is kind of the overarching theme of each of these product lines.
Right.
So we have had these now for a couple years. I kind of laugh about the concept of Clickshare Conference in the sense that we rolled this product out, which is fantastic for meeting spaces during COVID when nobody was in meeting spaces. So sometimes marketing timing doesn't line up quite how we would like, but still a great product. And that's the overarching theme of what we're trying to accomplish is agnostic conferencing in these spaces. So we have a net new addition to our CX line. So we've always had the 20, 30, and 50. We have added a new version of the CX50. I'm not necessarily a fan of calling it Gen 2, but what I will do is describe what the product actually does, because the perception is Gen 2 is a replacement of this CX50, and that's very much so not the case, just to make that clear. So what I would want people to draw their attention to is the CX50 is a single display output product. For a couple years now, if not longer than that, we have been asked for, we need a dual display output. We want people on one display. We want content on another display, right? People content. So the Gen 2 product is designed very much so with that in mind. So that is what the Gen 2 is meant for. So the CX50 will still be around. We're not planning on getting rid of it. It is fantastic for single display scenarios where maybe they need to retain an in-room computer, which would require like an HDMI pass-through. We are still retaining that product, but then the Gen 2 takes that concept, but also enables that dual display output capability for people and content. So we're really excited about that product because it allows us to, let me scroll forward here. Somebody had some creative animation, but really in a scenario where you are not conferencing, you can have, still dual display content mirrored. But if you are doing a conference or collaboration call, you're able to have people on one display, content on another. Some other things that we are also doing, which aren't necessarily part of the course scope, is support for Windows collaboration displays on one display type scenarios, or wired room dock for conferencing type scenarios where, we get it, Matt, you can do wireless conferencing, a wireless presentation, but we still have users that want to come in and connect the cable, right? So How do we make that still work, but also provide that wireless flexibility and usability in those meeting spaces, right? Something that we're really excited about. And so that has been announced. That product is available, and we're in the process of stocking that with folks that stock our product for us, for our integrator partners to procure against, if that makes sense. And Melanie, I don't know if you have anything you want to add in that regard as far as stocking.
We are stocked and ready to roll. They are many units, buy them all.
Love that. Love that. Appreciate that. Matt, a great question came in relative to exactly what you're talking about right now. Just about people hesitant to use the wireless wireless connectivity for their certain applications. The question in particular was about a government application. Can you guys just speak, briefly, I guess, without diving too much into the weeds about, the security of the connection between, the wireless connection, and perhaps that's exactly what that wired connection is there to augment, or if you can touch on that a little bit.
Sure. So I wouldn't say that framing the answer to that question has anything to do whether it's wired or wireless. And Michael Carter, if you're still on the call, maybe get ready to hop in and check my math on anything here. The wireless traffic, if somebody is connecting our button to their laptop to present to our base unit for the display and the benefit of potentially a collaboration call, is all encrypted. So that's not something that can be sniffed across the network. And the same thing is true whether using our software app on a PC or Mac to our base unit, then in that call. Michael, as far as government security or large corporate security, have you observed anything that might be beneficial to add on top of what I just responded to?
Yeah, no, like you said, it's an encrypted 5G signal. We don't really hold that information at the base unit level. We're just outputting the video transmission. There would be no way for a user who had no access to this base unit to get into the base unit without, the right credentials. And then we don't hold, any of that information at the base unit level. So there would be no way for you to necessarily steal the video or information passed along through the device.
Awesome. So what I heard there for sure that I'm taking away is encrypted from, you're sending, whether it's the app or the button, to the base station, and there's really no way to get in and nab that, which I think addresses the question perfectly.
And if you see any sub questions come in against what we just said, feel free to bring those up as well, Joe, because certain topics like that are quite important for integrators, depending on the clientele that they're servicing. So if we need to refine any more information, we're happy to do so.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you guys hitting that one on the head, and everybody who's in the Q&A section. I'm always happy to see some questions come in so we can stay engaged with the viewers here and make sure that we're keeping the content pertinent. I did want to shift a little bit right here and maybe talk a bit about, how you guys see yourself in the current landscape. There's a lot of competition out there, a lot of solutions in this type of space. So how does that look for you guys? What's the play? Where are our advantages here being a Barco partner?
Sure. Yeah. So outside of getting to work with me and Michael, at least on the West Coast, which I would argue is a benefit, we are very well inventoried. But it doesn't end at that. And I think really it comes down to how solutions are positioned with end users. Microsoft and Zoom. And I have no issues with them. Sometimes we compete. Sometimes it's a co-opetition. There's still a lot of value to wrap with us around those ecosystems. And I'll talk about that here in a second. Really, our approach is to be agnostic and flexible. We want to provide a variety of ways for people to connect to our product, whether it be the button. And this button, if people are familiar with the old buttons on this call, this is Type C. The old button was a Type A USB connector. The old buttons tried to push an executable file that opened up a folder on your computer when you connected it the first time. We vastly improved how we connect with the button. Again, it's 4K capable, full motion video share, 5 gig versus the old 800K type buttons. So vastly improved. And then we have the software app. So a lot of people didn't know that we had a software app, so we can compete much better there as far as various ways that users can connect and engage with our product. Competitively, some products out there that are non-Barco are app-based only. And if you want to use a software-based app and also conference, that base unit needs to be, that product needs to be on the network. We have a whole host, and somebody asked a security question. A lot of times that's big in financial, healthcare, and FedGov. That product would have to be on their network, security validated. Our product doesn't have to be, because we have a button. So the user comes in with their security validated laptop that's already on the network, can get access to Teams or Zoom. You could connect a button, click the button, and you are still able to drive your collaboration call, but our product never has to touch that client's network, right? I still think that is a big competitive advantage. If you want to use the app, obviously there are benefits to having our product on the network, so we have that flexibility as well. We're over a year and a half in on developing on the software app. Very mature, very stable. We continue to drive new capabilities to it. So definitely some great flexibility there as far as connectivity. And we also have our mobile device app, which is free of charge as well, as is the desktop app, as far as a third way to connect into and engage with our technology. But really the agnosticism of what we're trying to accomplish, I think, is one of our biggest competitive advantages. We work with all these different providers and offer that flexibility in the meeting space. And we work with a vast majority of the peripherals that are out there, as I was showing on that peripheral website. So that being said, what we have been told is that from a conferencing user workflow perspective, we are very intuitive, very simplistic. Not that other folks can't conference with their wireless collaboration tools, but it's a little more convoluted, requires more training. So as far as getting end users up and running more quickly, we've got a great user experience that's kind of still unmatched in the marketplace. The performance of our product, not only from a video quality, but also a bandwidth consumption perspective on the network, is kind of unmatched. But then when you step aside from comparing us to other companies that just do wireless conferencing, you then have the Teams and Zoom, right? So MTR rooms and dedicated Zoom rooms are still competitive on one hand, but I actually use clients that want to do those types of scenarios as an excuse to talk more, because in a dedicated Teams or Zoom room, maybe they do still want a cleaner way, a more user-friendly way to connect up in that room. So when I hand a button to the CIO of Southern California Edison, a big power company in Southern California, he doesn't want to open an app up on his laptop. He wants to come in, connect, and he's off to the races, right? So we can offer that level of simplicity in and around an MTR or Zoom room, right? So there's that piece. But also in the case of a dedicated MTR or Zoom room, oftentimes when you ask the question of, well, what if I'm a guest and I come in and I don't use Teams, but I want to leverage the benefit of that space as a part of a GoToMeeting call and leverage the great camera, audio, microphone, speaker system that's in there. How do I use this room now? Well, you are able to tie our product into those environments where you wake up the Clickshare unit. It now becomes an agnostic room. You utilize your conferencing provider of choice. And then once you disengage from Clickshare, it toggles back to being a dedicated Teams or Zoom room, for example, right? So I don't necessarily look at the technology from Teams or Zoom as being competitive. I think it's more so the marketing, because they want everybody to be dedicated and only on their platform, right? So hopefully that makes sense. And Michael, I don't know if you want to add anything there, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, Michael.
You got it.
Okay.
Cool. You got it.
Nice. Yeah, no, it made sense to me. I mean, again, I appreciate you touching on kind of both ends of this. I mean, I have personally worked on projects where Clickshare has been the solution and IT is involved. And I can tell you that when it comes to, these types of solutions, that Clickshare is probably the most IT friendly we have. And certainly I've gotten a lot of great support from the Barco team while still maintaining that, the user friendly experience on the side, and especially getting away from the old button styles with executable files and things like that, where you can just have an awesome experience, grab the button, plug it in, and be gone with it.
Yeah,
so
and all of our button stuff is now driver based, right? So you don't have to go through that whole rigmarole of, opening up that folder, running an executable. Those days are gone. So anybody that had issues with the old buttons, we've vastly improved with our newer approach there. Absolutely. And I think the other approach, or the other competitive benefit, is kind of how we structure our software strategy. We don't charge for any of our software. Clients can use it whether they want to or not, free of charge. So I don't care if an end user wants 10 licenses of our desktop app or if they want 10,000. That is free of charge. There's no ongoing fees or subscription costs there. So for anybody that doesn't want surprise renewal bills showing up, they want to fund things out of a CapEx budget, and they want to buy and own and have get great capabilities on that product without surprise costs. We've got a great offer there as well. So
yeah, absolutely. So new button, right? We're talking about new things. What is there anything else? What else is new product related like that we may not be aware of? I think that's a lot of stuff that maybe is new to people here. What else is there? Anything else? What else might there be?
Yeah, so this is a little bit near and dear to my heart, and this resonates with some integrators more, potentially some integrators less. But before joining Barco, I was actually over at Extron Electronics for about 6 years in the product marketing department, and I was responsible for all of our room scheduling products. So is the TLS panel. And so I think we've all walked by conference rooms where there's a touch panel mounted outside of that meeting room that has green or red light indicators. There's a display on it that shows the room information, the room name, if there's a meeting coming up, a meeting ongoing, or if it's available. Crestron has a product for that. So do a variety of other folks. All of those products enable people to better and more quickly recognize availability in the space. And so all of those products are also talking to the calendaring or scheduling system of record. We can do that kind of twofold. So first and foremost is in the meeting room where there's a Clickshare installed, you can configure our base unit that's typically mounted in a credenza or behind the display to talk to the Office 365 calendar. And on the splash screen in that conference room, not only show how to connect to that meeting room and the meeting room name, but how long that room is available for. So, if you and I happen to be walking down the hallway, we're looking for a meeting space, maybe there's no room scheduling panel outside the meeting space, but we can see it on the display that it's green. It's available for the next 30 minutes. You and I can go and we can collaborate, conference if we want, leverage that meeting space, right? And then if it's a busy room, or a meeting is coming up, you'll see a red bar start to appear, on that display, right? So just an extension of room information, scheduling info that's already just out there on the network. We want to extend that more into those conferencing spaces.
That's awesome. That's really great, man. We get requests for that all the time. And I think, in the scheduling space in particular, right, you're giving people scheduling features without really having to add another piece of hardware to the mix.
Correct. And this is free of charge. So free is kind of a recurring theme here if people like that word. The other thing that is part of that room scheduling play is the software app that we've talked about for PCs and Macs, right? So in this software app that runs on those machines, you can put in your Office 365 credentials. And that allows you to do two things. One is when our app has a notion of what's going on in your personal work calendar, we will also show that in the software app. So here's a scenario. When you walk into a meeting room, your laptop's closed under your arm, you walk in, you open your laptop up. The microphone on all of our laptops is usually by default active because we all conference from our laptops. Our base unit emits an ultrasonic beacon that's unique to that room. So when you open up your laptop and log in, our software app will wake up immediately on your computer. And it will say, hey, you're in meeting room XYZ. Would you like to start wirelessly sharing to that room? And if you also happen to have your O365 credentials input, like I was describing, and there's a notion of your schedule, it'll say, not only are you in this room, but it looks like you have a meeting coming up in this room. Would you like to one click to join, not only and launch the room and wake up the peripherals, but launch your Teams or Zoom call, which I think is pretty cool. So when you talk about simplicity of connectivity and user experience in meeting spaces, room scheduling is kind of an unsung hero for clients that really want that level of simplicity and connectivity in their meeting spaces. So that's one newer feature. We've had it for a little while. We could probably do a better job of marketing it, but something that I certainly think is pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, without adding additional hardware. So free, again, right? No extra cost to the room, no additional points of failure, things like that. That's really important. And also, here's a great reason for an end user to really standardize on these platforms and the Barco Clickshare platform across their meeting rooms. And you're getting your, like you said, your security validated, IT approved and set up configured laptop that, in those situations is probably already has this application and that information configured and set in there. What an awesome experience for somebody going between meeting rooms throughout the day and being able to utilize different spaces. I think that's great, man.
So one more thing, and then we can toggle is, what will show up on the display if you're not sharing to our unit is kind of a splash screen. It's customizable. It's a static image. You can use room scheduling or not. You can customize how big or small this black box is. You can actually push out and change and customize what you want that static image to look like. A lot of our clients and a lot of our partners are installing digital signage systems more than just a static image. So rather than when you're done using a Clickshare, it going back to a static image, we can actually tell our base units to tune into a digital signage feed that's running across the network. So if a large bank has subscribed to a signage provider, all we need is an HTML string and tell our units to listen for that stream across the network in essence. So when you're done using Clickshare, it could be full motion digital signage content. So, if you see my mouse moving, maybe it's a weather bug over here, it's a video feed, and then some scrolling information on what's going on that day in the company or university, right? So we can tie into interactive signage applications as well to drive additional visibility into across all these displays throughout the organization. And again, that is free of charge too. Provided the unit is on the network. The unit needs to be networked so it can listen to the network for that feed, but that is free of charge.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, again, we're positioning Clickshare and putting it in a place where it's got all of these kind of value-added features to make it a more full-fledged solution other than just its core features and functionalities, which we know it does very well. We got a couple minutes left here. We're about 8-9 minutes out. I do want to make sure we get to the drawing. A couple of things I wanted to ask about quickly. Talk to me a little bit about the software and services, because I know we talked about the app, but a lot about hardware, the button and things like that. I mean, what's the strategy for Barco with software and services?
Yeah, so software is, I think I can bring this home pretty shortly. Talked about the software app, individual device app. We also have, let me go back here. We have a free cloud application for people that want to use it. So the cloud XMS is designed for device management, firmware management, room usage analytics, device status and health. So there are a couple different ways that partners and or end users could utilize this. So some partners will install our products, get them on the network, get them talking to the cloud, and then hand the keys over to the true end user. And then they can manage firmware, schedule firmware push, you name it, but then also gain the insights into how their rooms are being utilized. We can even tell people not only what our product is doing, but what peripheral devices. So if it's a Polycom all-in-one soundbar, we can tell the end user through our interface, hey, we've got this model of Polycom all-in-one connected to us, and here's the MAC address, here's the firmware it's running, you name it, right? So great visibility into what's going on in each of these rooms. We've got a lot of great new value that we're going to be adding to our cloud for not only firmware management of our product, but firmware management of peripherals. So not only if you want to update our box, but there's a joint release that maybe we're having with Poly or another company, pushing not only for us, but also for that peripheral technology. And then also better linkage of this platform into things like, ServiceNow and opening up API endpoints is kind of the overall direction of this platform, which again is free of charge for end users as a part of our software strategy. So an end user could use it, or an integration company that has managed services and wants to resell that to their end user could hypothetically do a health check once a quarter as a part of that contract and do all of what I just described on the client's behalf as a paid for service, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
And-
absolutely.
And by linking our product to the cloud, we will automatically extend the 1-year out-of-box hardware warranty to 5 years free of charge. So now you've got a box that's relatively reasonably priced, software on the PCs and Macs, free access to the cloud, life of product software maintenance, life of product tech support. But now you also have 5 years hardware warranty on top of that. Our product doesn't have to be on the network. So when it's initially set up, get it on the network, reg it with the cloud. But then once it goes out and gets deployed, it doesn't have to touch the network ever again. But in doing that on the upfront install, you've then extended that hardware warranty, which is great.
That's awesome. I'm trying not to, be too much of a cheerleader here, but that is a really great feature. And again, those kinds of extended warranty services are usually come with a relatively substantial cost. So that's huge. We got a couple minutes left. What would you leave us with when communicating with our partners here about positioning Clickshare and selling and installing these things in the market?
Yeah, I think it's just simply Barco as a whole is investing and hiring a lot of people into the Clickshare team. And that is because we see a lot of value in where we want to go with the product. I think I can stop my share so I can see everybody's faces. We're investing a lot in the product line, not only from a personnel, but also a product perspective, which is very exciting. We just had our national sales meeting, a lot of great features that we'll be able to share coming very soon. We are a flexible solution. We are very easy to design in. We work with all the different collaboration companies. We've got great resources and relationships on the peripheral alliance partner side. We are very well inventoried. I think as far as all of the things that we offer that we've talked about kind of ad nauseum, the free access to software, free resources for the cloud, you name it. It's just, if people are looking for flexibility in a product that they can get in, they can rinse and repeat, they can package easily with other peripherals, that future-proofs their end user, which is always a benefit when you're an integrator, right? You don't want to pigeonhole a client. We really have flexibility all over the place from a networking, connectivity, partnership perspective that I think we're really, really proud of. So, and I'm happy to dive into that with folks on this call if they want to get into the weeds and get a little more technical with Michael and myself. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. As promised, everyone, we do have a gift card giveaway. I don't have any, drum roll or spinning wheel, but we did a random generator outside while this was going on. And congrats to Sam Wells. We will go ahead and contact you offline to make sure that you get that $50 gift card. I want to thank our team at Barco here for joining us. Matt, Michael, Melanie, Angela. Certainly, if anybody that joined us here on the call, we appreciate it very much. If you want to get in touch with the team, learn more about Clickshare, becoming a partner or deepening your partnership if there's an existing one already, reach out to us following up with this call here at Starin with the Barco team directly. We'd be happy to get you squared away and get you everything you need to be successful. So with that, I'll say thanks everyone for joining us. If you have any further questions, please follow up with us offline, and please make sure you hit those takeaways that were provided, the downloads in the chat, so we can walk away with that one. I did see.
And one thing real quick, Joe,
please, yeah.
If there are questions that happen to come in that we weren't able to address, please send those over to me and I'll get those answered immediately. And then you could pump that back out to the crew that was on the call today. So
absolutely. We appreciate it, everyone. There was one follow-up I for sure want to get over to you guys. So we'll definitely do that, Matt. And like I said, everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. And if you need any further information, please reach out to us and contact us at starin.biz.
Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your time.